He'll probably come. All right. So this is July still, right? Trash meter mania is Sharon's
23rd.
third. Yeah, thank you. Um, and if people pop in, great. But I'm just going to give you guys a quick update on what's been going on. So we officially, so Philadelphia, this week it looks like we got a bigger contract, but then now there's a challenge, and this is something that you're going to learn if you do business. Is
I'm eating.
All right, Sharon's got.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I'm surprised. Um, when you do these kind of businesses, like how do you get paid, right? So when you're running small and lean, a startup, you never want to have a process where it's hard for you to get paid. So we try to make it easy with invoice links and like just going through the app and credit card sort of transactions and Stripe, all these kind of technologies that are there to make things fast and easy. And why that helps us is because the faster we get paid, the faster we can pay you, right? So that's why and on my end, I ask for people's ACH numbers because the fastest thing in the world is Uber, like Cash App and Venmo and things like that, but they're really hard to track. But an ACH from a bank is pretty easy because it's right off the bank account, and it gets to you like sometimes faster than Venmo because I think Venmo sometimes takes 2 days. If
2 or 3.
Yeah, Venmo three, it might be three. So a typical ACH could be the same day or 24 hours. So it's a quicker way for you to get paid. Having saying that, when you get somebody who's a property management company and they're old school, these are people that still try to use faxes and checks, you run into you run into issues with that. So you have to try to solve for that or fire that customer. So we're trying to figure that out. Give me the family
He
shout.
just got up.
That's okay. Um, so that's what's going on in Philadelphia. And in Tampa, like I mentioned earlier before the recording, but we just opened up an area. What we have right now is a route. Sharon, you're kind of up there in Zephyr Hills. That's how you say it. I'm trying to make sure because I'm
Yeah.
Zephyr
Yeah,
Hills.
I'm actually like between Zephyr Hills and Wesley Chapel.
Okay. So right now there's nothing close to there. All these the particular route. So this is what happened. I went to a meeting. I ended up closing a guy, Airbnb host, or he's a co-host company, and they manage 12 in Tampa and a bunch in Atlanta. So they're trying us out in Tampa right now. Now this is not the highest paid sort of job, but I figured out a way to make it relatively worth it, right? And so when I'll just because I'm sure somebody's going to want to know somewhere the economics behind this. Right now we'd be doing if you took a route, right? There's 12 houses. Each one has different days that the trash goes out, and then the day after that it comes back in. So the simplest thing to do is just to create a route and take on an app like the Circuit app, which is something that my brother showed me about. But you can look at what's around you, and then you can kind of just say, well, how long is it going to take me to get there? So I've done all of them this week, and depending on what day it is, it could take anything from 2.5 to 2.5, 3 hours, depending on what time of day, like to under an hour. This is because I'm not too far from you. I'm like New Tampa, the edge of Wesley Chapel. So these are running down by the airport and all the way out like past the edges of Lutz. I guess that's super like close to north, but those take a lot of time depending on the time of day, right? So what's two things I've observed is this. You can actually go out pretty early in the day before traffic hits, and then you might catch it on the way back, or you could actually wait till after 7, after 6 o'clock or 6:30, and go do all these, and you probably make better off as well traffic wise. So that's some stuff. But point I'm trying to make is this: I want to get more houses to fill in. So this week I'm going to be marketing heavy to more short-term rental hosts and property managers to try to find out anything they have up these ways. So right now we have a trash bin out to curb service, And I would say for the sweeper, each the way we're making it is, let's say you can do Tuesdays, but you can't do Wednesdays, right? You could take half of a route because you could do it that day, and
Right,
somebody could take the other half. So every time you go out and just put something to the curb, let's say the recycle and the trash, it would be like let's call it $4.50, right? Taking it from here to there, right? Takes you all of 5 minutes.
right,
And then that would be the one leg. So maybe say that day that leg was six taking them out. So that's 24. It's like 28, no, $27, I guess, all told together, for that particular run. Now, if that 26, that's those, if they're grouped together in one small area, then that could take you an hour, that could take you 10 minutes. If it took you
yeah,
10 minutes and you were able to do a bunch of them, then like, you made $27 an hour, right? If it takes you an hour, then it takes, $27 an hour. It takes you 2 hours, and you got to cut that in half. Point I'm trying to make is the more of them that we get on the network and we close that in, the better it is for everybody, because that person could just say, well, I'm just going to stick to the zip code. There's enough there. And they go and, they do a route here and there. So to that end, a couple of people, like, so far I have one person that's going to start part of a route next Sunday. And whoever wants to just kind of look at what these look like, I can, you just message me and I can share the map and you can start to look at it. And if something starts to say, well, I'll try out this one. I mean, it's a little far, but I'll try out this one. Just tell me, because right now I'm doing all of it just to make sure I could tell you what it looks like and what to expect when you get there. Um, and I also did that because when people give us these jobs, they're giving us a mess. So if it's like a brand new account, right? They'll say, "Oh, go take out the trash because they forgot," right? Sometimes they forgot for like 3 weeks, and you go there and it looks like the place is destroyed. So here's another way we're adding money to this. So we've created like what we call an overflow allowance. And if the person's trash has too much in it, like let's say it's like overloaded where it's like past the top where they can't even close the lid. And this is where the core service comes in. If you take that bag, you'll get credited another $4.50. Like, you just take it. You could take it to your house. You could put it in another. Here's what I learned. That gets included in their services. But if you're doing this service and you're like, that's the curb to bin service, and one person's bin is overflowing, you could take that bag. But when you go to the next house, sometimes they have plenty of room, so you just drop that trash off in the other trash, and you don't ever have to take it past that point. So that's actually what's been happening. Like, I had the first day when it was a hot mess, I had three bags, but then on the way home, I found three places to put the bags where it never had to come home with me. I didn't have to take it to the dump or anything like that. So that's something that is an extra, call it a bonus for the drivers if they get one of those. Now, we can't abuse that because really it's an allowance. They have one bag per house per month, and then we actually have to charge them for it, which actually helps you as well. But I don't, I we have to monitor that we're not like being, just trying to be greedy. We just have to, we have to do these with common sense, right? So, um, having said that, that's what's happening, and it's a way for us to do both jobs that other people don't do, because a lot of these services don't necessarily take these trash bags out. They kind of like put them back in, or they just leave it there, which is bad. So we're doing something a little bit different than everybody else, and it should work. And that's that. So Tampa's open now. I opened up all the zip codes yesterday. So I'm going to do a marketing campaign to see who wants, that service. And then if somebody, if you want like a digital picture to kind of pass around or tell somebody about this to get jobs in your area, let me know. I'll send you some stuff. And Sharon, you've been able to get a hold of me pretty easy.
yeah.
Whenever you have an idea or anything like that, or you think if you should do something, I'm always going to say go ahead and try. So you don't even have to ask, just do it. And if they have questions, you can just throw them at me and be like, "Oh, I'm not sure about that." And then I'll try to create something for you guys. But our lane, we just have to stay in this one lane, because what we're doing is we're going to specialize in 2 to 10 bags. We don't really want to go over that for a lot of reasons, specifically because, you know, probably you don't ever want to go to the dump and wait in line. We're trying to solve for that. We're trying to hook up with some junkers and stuff to take the bags. Now, if we do those drop-offs points, you have a choice. You can take one of these, you could take these to your house, you could offload them in other empty trash bags, you can find a truck that's going by. Because you're in a smaller car and not in some, you know, stake body truck or something, they're going to treat you like you're a regular person. That's kind of the beauty of this. And most of those guys will let you offload a couple bags. So remember that if you ever see one of them trucks going around and you got a couple in the car, hey, can I throw these couple bags? I was on my way. And 99% of the time, they're going to be like, yeah, go ahead. Always use that, because that's going to save you gas, time, energy, room in your car, everything else. So like I would always say, do that first. We're not a waste management company. Remember, we're a logistics and reallocation solution, like redistribution solution. There you go. Meaning we move stuff around so that it just becomes more efficient. Okay. Having said that, if you see a truck going by, you got 2 bags you need to get rid of, throw them in, like if they let you, right? Or, you know, if you're out putting out bins and there's room and you have bags from something else, put them in there. Saves you a trip, because we have to be smart, savvy, and like, you know, think, you know, be smarter than the average bear, as they kind of say, on what we're doing here, because it's kind of, we're running lean, this whole thing. So I'm going to stop because we have some people on here. I want to see if anybody had any questions, observations. They wanted to hear news. Let me show you guys one thing before I take questions. One of the things that I want to use to help everybody play this game that we're playing, meaning like, you know, clean up the world in a fun way, created this token, this trash token. This is crypto, right? So if any you've ever like people talking about crypto, this is crypto. We created it. Think of it like airline miles. And what's going to happen is this. Right now, I'm just going to show you some of the stuff. Right now, it's just something that it's not hooked up into these accounts yet. But we're going to generate these tokens by everything you do. So let's say you do $100 worth of business this week, running, you know, errands for us, like trash, you know, trash missions, sweeper jobs, figures. Let's say you would generate 10 trash tokens per, I don't know, dollar that you've generated for us, right? So you'd get 1,000 trash tokens if you did $100 worth of business, right? Those would kind of go in this wallet, okay? And at some point, you're going to be like, well, what can I use this for? So in the beginning, it could be like trash bags, right? Like, well, you get a certain amount of tokens, you could just cash it in for trash bags. Over time, because we're going to involve kids in this, and we're going to have a whole store there. So how that might work is we want you to set up a goal, right? Let's say your goal is, Sharon, like you want to buy a lawnmower. I don't know, I'm just saying a lawnmower, right?
Okay.
A lawnmower might cost $500 to $1,000, but you can choose that as your goal. And there would be like a sort of a token bank that says you're this far away from your goal of a lawnmower. Okay. What we will with the technology eventually do is the same way you get tips from Uber or Lyft or any of these other ones, we could make an, you know, create the intelligence to ask the question, hey, do you want to leave a tip? Yes, no, whatever. And it'll convert in tokens, right? Because people seeing tokens, they'll be like, well, they don't cost a lot of money. That, like, to them, that tip is not going to be much to them. Like, it's $5 tip versus a 5,000 trash meter token tip. And trash tokens, that might only be $2, right? In but it feels like they gave you a big tip. But part of that goal idea of having that picture of a goal is when you get close to that goal, we'll have that person ask, you know, let's say you're a kid and you wanted an Xbox and you're like a neighborhood kid and you're doing this and it's like, oh, little Timmy's been taking out my trash for 3 weeks. They do such a good job. He even gets it clean for me, blah, blah, blah. You tip them and then you see, oh man, he's only 10,000 tokens from his Xbox and his birthday's coming up. Wow, I'll tip him so he can get his Xbox, right? They'll finish the goal. But that would actually incentivize them to tip a little bit more the closer you get to your goal, which is why we want people to figure out a goal and put it there so we can help people if they like you, help you reach your goal, and then you both feel good. But we do it in a way that it's like a game, so like you don't have to beg or anything like that. It's all happening in the background, right? So that's a lot of the stuff we're kind of building into this whole idea of this trash token and this turning trash into crypto thing, just so that you guys know where we're headed. It might, you guys are all first adopters. You're seeing stuff, and some of this stuff might be built out, and we might pivot, and some things might like turn and change into something else. But I like to share that with people so that you guys understand like the vision of where we're going with this. Because I don't look at you guys as just drones. You when you come in, you're part of this, right? So I want to make sure like you get the most out of this that you can, because none of us can do this alone. We all need each other. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Elon Musk and you want to make a robot out of everything. You still need people, right? So to that end, I'm going to stop talking now. I see Taylor. I see David. David's in Philly. Taylor, I think you are in Tampa. I'm gonna let you unmute you guys if you want to talk. Right now, let's just, if you have any questions of what's going on, or how you can help, or anything, just now's the time. So Sharon, if you want to start, these guys are on mute, so they might be working or with people, so they might not be able to come off.
Talking about taking it to the dump, I have a dump right near me.
So tell me about that, right? Like you, all right. So one thing. So is that Hillsborough still where you are?
No,
No.
I'm in Pasco.
Pasco. Okay. So what I learned, and this is something that anybody working Tampa, Hillsborough, so Tampa, Pasco, and Pinellas all have like kind of slightly different rules. I think I have to look it up, but I think in Pasco you can dump 6 to 10 bags, depending on what dump it is, without a problem, without them asking you for money, right? And you don't have to show them. I don't think you have to show them like proof where you live or anything like that. So that's you kind of have an advantage there in some aspect, being close to that, right? And I got to remember that. Inside of Hillsborough, what they require is you have to go in and you have to show. In fact, let me find it. Let me see if I can find it real quick. And I'm not gonna go looking for that because it'll be forever.
That'll take too long.
Yeah, it's you have to show like your tax bill that you paid your taxes for the year. So you have to do, I have, if anybody needs it, I have like the link. You can go on, you look at it, either print out a PDF or take a screenshot or take a shot with your phone. And then if you have to ever go to the dump, you just show them that and they'll let you take it there. But in Hillsborough, all the dumps are kind of like very south of Tampa, except for the one you're talking about, Sharon. But the Hillsborough ones, like the Hillsborough County ones, it's like past downtown is one, and then they're like definitely like South Tampa ish areas. So, and then you have the St. Pete Clearwaters, and those happen to be north and kind of central. But
Yeah.
there's about 7 to choose from, and it just depends on what day. So once we get to that point, we can start doing a little bit more strategy and involving the guys with like, if you have a pickup or if you ever have a steak body, and just be like, hey, we'll put it there, we'll give you a cut of the money, because that's going to be part of this too. Like one of the experiments that I'm this just happened yesterday, and I'm going to see if it works. But one of the experiments going on in Philly is, I always envision that when you guys are out, if you only have an hour or to work, and you don't have, like, say it's getting close to the end of the day where they're closing the dumps, you could offload these at another, let's say 1-800-JUNK, because those are the people I'm talking to, right? Their trucks, I'll just give you an example. In Philadelphia, any given day, they're running 5 to 7 trucks all through the city. Now, if you're in I think David's like all the way up in the edge of the northwest edge of the city, right? Philadelphia, I think he is, or north, or just west, right? Um, he might not want to like go to any of the other dumps because it's far away from his house. But what if those trucks happen to be in his area? He could tap in. And what will happen with that is instead of you having to make this long drive, take it yourself, wait in line, and everything else that those guys got to do because they already have an efficient system, you would just hand it off to them and then you would split whatever you were going to make.
Yeah.
So ideally, in the in our system when it's sorted out, you could literally just say, I just want to cover this zip code only, or like this 4 square miles. Anything that comes up in there, I'm going to take that. But I don't have to leave this area. My car, I don't trust my car, whatever reason. I want to like pick up 10 jobs in this local, and those 10 jobs might equal me, I don't know, call it the 10 jobs. Let's say if you were doing because if you were doing just trash, your minimum job is going to make you like $12. So if you picked up 10 jobs, it will be 120. Well, it only took you an hour and that's a lot of money, but you still don't feel like going all the way to the dump and waiting in line because that's going to be to you. That's going to be another 2 or 3 hours, not for you, Sharon, but like somebody else, like Taylor, right? Well, one of those trucks come by, maybe you say, okay, well, I was going to make 120, but for that 120, I was going to waste 3 hours. But it only took me 1 hour to get this. It's just the 2 hours that's going to take me to go to the dump and return and like wait in line and all that other crap. I'm just going to give it to these guys. So you would cut your 120 in half and you would get 60, but the other 60 would go to them, but they take that off your plate. And now they just saved you 2 hours of time. And you just, like I said, you chopped it up. Ideally, that's how it's going to work. Even better, if you were if you were taking out bins and picking up trash, you could make that up by redistributing the trash, like I said, because if you had picked up 10 bags here, but you had to go put out a few bins and those bins had room in them, then you didn't have to, you see what I'm saying? Like you only have to offload a certain amount. So once you get this going, you get to kind of play those numbers and say, okay, what's going to benefit me the worst? How much time do I got? Do I really want to waste gas all the way out there? Yada, yada, yada. That's where this game's going to get interesting. And in time, all that activity is also going to gain you tokens. So those tokens eventually will be worth something. What people don't realize about crypto is it can be very useless or very useful. It really just depends on what you make the utility. There's a concept that they call mining, right? Think of like when you go, there's people in Africa mining for diamonds, right? So to set up a mine, it costs this certain amount of money, and then you got to pay the people doing the work, and you might be there a long time before it actually starts to produce. So there's all this cost of mining, right? But in crypto, the mining happens in a machine. The Bitcoin, it does calculations, and then it gets slower and slower and slower, and it generates this electronic, this ghost money, right? Same thing with all these other things. One of the biggest arguments about it is what's the utility? How is it mined? What people don't realize is what I put together here. This is a real world version of that, of mining. And that energy that you put out of doing this and cleaning up the earth is going to be what mines this coin. And eventually, once there's enough activity, it starts to take and it's like, okay, now it's real because now there's exchanges going on. Now you took this token and you traded it in for a box of trash bags. It could be that simple. You took it from, you're taking it from people's sort of mind and energy and electricity, and you turned it into a real product. That's the alchemy that happens when you do this thing. That's what other people don't get. That's why we'll win, because we figured out a way to turn trash into crypto and vice versa, and crypto into trash. So all that to say is you guys are the miners of this coin when you do stuff. Not yet, it will be though. So it's a concept that you'll all get to win from, because if you happen to hold on to all your tokens and never cash them in, what's going to happen is the more people use the tokens, the price of the worth of the tokens goes up. I've seen it happen where it jumped 4x in one weekend just from people buying it. Now, just buying it's not going to do anything, but if you buy it and sell it and buy it, you buy and sell and buy it and you start using it and people start using it, then people are going to be like, oh, I'm going to save some of this, right? Like in a bank. And now you have this bank, and then if let's say trash token was when we started, it was a penny, right? No, actually, let's say it was a tenth of a penny, but you hold on to 1 million of them because it's so cheap. You can wait a while, and then at some point, let's say it goes up to a penny. Now you have $1 million worth of trash tokens. You see what I'm saying? Where you might own $10,000 worth over your efforts. Now you have $1 million because you held on to it. That's also another way I want you guys to benefit for actually helping build out the system. So anyway, we're hitting our limit. So I'm gonna sign off today. But if you have any questions, one last thing, I'm trying to create a bot in ManyChat to start doing a lot of these things automatically in communications. I'm fumbling through it this week, but we're gonna get to the point where our communications are gonna look a lot smoother. It might come through Telegram, it might come through Facebook, it might come through Instagram, it might come through WhatsApp. I'm trying to tie them all together into one thing so that whatever your preferred method is still going to make it through. And that's going to actually look like an artificial intelligence once we sort it out, but it's going to take some work. So I'm making that because that's going to make all our jobs easier and a way for us to communicate within each other's teams. Because if you get stuck on something, if you have a problem and somebody another person knows, you can always kind of reach out and say, hey, how did you handle this? So it'll be a community, a messaging system, all these other things in there. And I don't know how long it's going to take to build, but I know we need that. So that's what I'm working on a lot this week, getting us more customers in Tampa and working on this bot. So for that, I'm going to say goodbye, and you know how to reach me. I'm easy to get a hold of. And Sharon, shoot me a message. Well, I'm going to put in my notes that you're close. What's the name of the dump that you're close to?
I don't know. It's
okay.
on
Find it when you get a chance. Just whatever Google it or whatever. Just find it. Ask somebody. I'll look it up because I just kind of want to make a note that you're close to that because you might be a waste.
But I'm in a trailer and I won't have a tax bill if I need one to go over there.
Well, I don't think you need it for that county. It was for
Pasco.
Yeah, I don't think it was for Pasco. I think you need it for Hillsborough. I think for that you only need your license just to say you live somewhere.
I'll find out the name. It's I can't. It's on Island Avenue.
Yeah, don't worry about it yet. But I just want to know which one you're close to because I know there's 7 of them, and you're probably close to one of them. That's what I'm trying to.
Well, and there's a ton down Island Avenue going towards Lakeland. There's like a ton of them within.
You know what? Then shoot me your full address. I'll look on a map and see what's close to you. That way, I'll save you a little time. Okay.
Okay. All right.
All right. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.